All right, we are live. Thank you everybody for joining us for the Speakeasy Q&A, Two Sisters and a Piano by Nilo Cruz, directed by Nilo Cruz. I'm so happy that you all are here. This is the first time that we're going to be streaming to several platforms, so you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. In YouTube, the comment section will be on the right side, so you can put in your questions there. And on Facebook, you can put, yay, I see Carol. And on Facebook, people will be able to put their comments right below. So we have already a couple of viewers watching from what I could tell. And now we're going to go around and have everyone introduce themselves and what their role is in this fabulous project. My name is Adriana Gaviria. I was the virtual technical director and assistant director of this amazing production. And Nilo, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Nilo Cruz, the playwright and also the director of the piece.
I'm going to start with Gabriel because it's one of the most important roles. So, Gabriel, you go.
Thank you, Adriana. My name is Gabriel Shiner, and I was the stage manager for this production.
Awesome. And Hema?
Hi, I'm Hema Valdez, and I was costume designer for this production.
Thank you. Jimmy?
Jimmy Smits, playing Lieutenant Portuondo.
Florencia?
Hi, I'm Florencia Lozano, and I'm nervous, and I'm forgetting who I played. Sophia. I've been drinking.
You have your toast ready. Daphne.
Salud. Hi, I'm Daphne Ruben-Vega, and I play Sophia. And Florencia plays my sister, Maria Celia.
And Gary Perez will be joining us as well a little bit later on, so he'll be popping in. And then we have Jack Canfora, the artistic director of New Normal Rep. Jack, tell us a little bit about the company and how it came to be.
Okay, well, thank you so much. First of all, thanks for joining us, everyone who's tuning in, and 1,000 thanks to the wonderful cast and crew of Two Sisters and a Piano. New Normal Rep started right last April. I had decided that I was going a little stir crazy by myself, and I asked a bunch of actors whom I respected but also really liked the company of if we'd want to read plays every week. And so every week we would gather on Zoom, and it could be anything from Shakespeare to Neil Simon to what have you. And then around the summer, I started realizing we actually, this is a pretty good group of actors, and we have the makings of a company. And so we decided that, and I think we realized that this medium wasn't going to, unfortunately, the pandemic wasn't going to go away right away. And the theaters were going to be open anytime soon. But also, I thought that maybe this medium, which was just starting to bubble up, wasn't going to go away either. And so we wanted to try to do our best to present plays that are either underperformed in our or not as known as they should be, and also newer works that with a diverse platform of artists and themes and styles, and it really just gathered its own momentum after that. I feel really blessed because I've just had a tremendous group of people. We've all gathered around, and I've gotten to work with some very talented people putting this thing together. And Adriana was one of the first on board way back when I didn't really know what I was talking about. Unlike now, where I mostly just don't know what I'm talking about. And we had our first play in March, and this is our second play, and we couldn't be more excited to have gotten this cast and this play and this playwright to be our second play. We couldn't be prouder.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. That was wonderful. So we have a lot of people watching. I put in a couple comments on screen so that you all could see the love that is coming from everybody. And let's just jump into the conversation. So all of you that are watching, as things come up, if you have a question, just put it in the chat and we will incorporate it into this Q&A, because that's what this is about, getting to know the team and getting to learn about how this production was made and what we learned from it. So, Nilo, I loved having this conversation earlier with you today, because we have spent the last year and a half isolated in our homes and during a pandemic, and I was really curious of your thoughts and everybody's thoughts of how this play was relevant to how everything that we've been experiencing the last year and a half. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean, I certainly felt like the two sisters being under house arrest, and yes, I think the piece is it is very relevant with what is happening right now. Our yearn to communicate. I was so happy when I finally got to do this play and work with actors again, after again months of being locked. And I must tell you that my life as a writer is very much like this. I I lived very much just at home, and I go for my walks, but I live under house arrest in many ways through my work. But nonetheless, one of the reasons why I'm not a novelist and I'm a playwright is because I get to share with actors, and I get to also see how actors interpret the work. So but it's in terms of like the piece being so current, also in terms of the politics of the piece, is that this piece was produced in 1998 at the MacArthur Theater, and the situation in Cuba hasn't changed. It's still the same. Cuba sort of has opened a little bit to the world here and there, and then it closes up again because of fear. And now, of course, it's even more closed up because not just the politics, but also the situation with COVID and the pandemic. And so it's even more closed up than it was before. But I think we can also relate to these two women, just after the lockdown, and the sort of desperation to sort of like leave the house, And one of the things when I was writing this piece that was intriguing to me is how to leave oppression, how to leave close quarters, and for me it was the imagination, the art, because Maria Celia leaves her house through the writing, and Sophia leaves her house through the music. And the lieutenant leaves the larger prison by entering the lives of these women who are dreamers, who create something unique with the reality, which it becomes very intriguing to him.
Mhm.
Thank you, Nilo. Another aspect that I really loved about this play is all the other elements that are part of it, the music and the costumes, and that really create the world. Emma, can you talk a little bit about how you come up, how you created the world with Nilo?
Well, Maria Celia and Sophia's world is very limited, and they're under house arrest, but before being under house arrest, they were in prison. So at that point in Cuba, also Russia had just pulled out. So their revenue stream was gone. There was nothing coming in. They didn't have a whole lot of choice in what to wear. And they were in a position that I felt that they, if you're not going to go out anywhere, look at the pandemic. What have we been wearing? How long has it been? And then, there is that poignant
I got
scene.
pants on, by the way. Just
I don't.
And, when they dress up in old clothes because that's what they have. Those are the things that are there, their mother's old clothes, maybe their father's old clothes when Sophia skips out. And, it's, they make do with what they have, which is very sad, but it happens. They just kind of make it work. And these girls were very limited also as to what they could acquire. So that's why they were waiting. You know, they spend all their time waiting for someone to bring them something or tell them something or do something. So I think now we all understand this. I know I do a lot more because it's affected us. You know, we've kind of, and we know we're getting through something. These people don't have a whole lot of hope. So that's, you know, that's you kind of feel so much for them. You don't have to do a whole lot. And these ladies were amazing, and they knew who their characters were from the get-go. You know, so it's great to work. And with Jimmy, where he knew this guy. He was the first one to reach out and send me an email with pictures of all these shirts that he had, you know, because he already knew who the lieutenant was. And it's great when someone collaborates like that, because Nilo's a poet, and I consider him a poet, and he paints a picture and he allows you to collaborate. So it's always a co-creative process, which is why the work is so good. So
Yeah.
I feel really blessed.
It was
Thank you.
wonderful. I just want to jump in and say that one of the things when NNR started was we were all sick to death of readings on Zoom. And so we were going to try and make the productions as un-Zoom-like as possible. I mean, I do also feel that like we're working right now with the equivalent of like wax cylinders as opposed to like a 64-track digital studio that'll probably be available to us in like 2 years' time. But what I think Nilo and Hema and everyone did such a wonderful job was creating a world where you could really just buy into the fact that you lose the fact that you're watching it on a computer or watching it as a digital production, and just buy into that world. And I think every element of that was just so wonderfully done. So I just want to compliment everyone on that.
You know, the technology, like you say, Jack, is going to keep increasing and getting better and better. But from just in the beginning of the pandemic, when, you know, artists are going to try to find ways to do their art, of people just getting on a Zoom and doing a reading of a play, to the kind of polished production values that keeps getting amped up. Jill Eichenberg, who's part of your company, Jack, I had seen the Jericho piece live, and she had written that, you know, you guys are thinking about doing readings of plays. So I thought this was going to be like a reading, but when I saw the production of Jericho with the way that all of the other elements that have been added, it just like amped up everything. And Nilo had some really wonderful ideas about what he wanted to do visually in terms of pushing the envelope so that the frame can look cinematic in a lot of different ways. And it was really exciting to watch that, for us to try to maintain these technical things that we had to deal with, that were all very new for us because we were all in our little shelter-at-home places, but at the same time deal with the language, the beautiful language that Nilo wrote, and the relationships between the characters.
Exactly. And one of the priorities during rehearsal was the language, right? The story, the play. But then eventually we had to move to the technical elements. And we, and that was, you know, that's always a difficult process. As Jimmy said, you know, we're all learning different platforms, and also platforms are evolving constantly. So it's something that, you know, was available for a while and used in many other in many other industries except ours, right? So we kind of had to just jump in and start learning and seeing how we can start creating. So one of the questions that's in the chat is, for those of you that have done Nilo's plays on stage, how was it different working on this virtually?
Well, for me, you know, just, you know, to reiterate, the technological element of what we're doing is a big part of the pie now. You know, I love to say what Jimmy said before, like artists will art. And so this pandemic has proven that. So, you know, we're all in, and having done Nilo's plays before, I do know that it is the language, you know, it begins with the word and the language will take us through. So having had that experiential reference, that's my New York radiator system. Having had that experience, I could sort of trust and try to focus more on the juggernaut that is the technology. It was insane. And, you know, just having that experience with the company that I shared it with, that you can see on the screen, made it really worth it. You know, we walked each other and breathed each other through some real challenging technical times. But I hope that answers the question. You know, Nilo's work is Nilo's work, so we showed up for it, you know?
Yes. And one of the exciting things is that in this medium, we're all in different places. So we were all able to work together, and we're on different coasts and in different states. So that was something that was really wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
Hashtag worth it. Hashtag worth it. You know what I mean? I mean, like, hopefully one day it will be, it won't be, we'll be able to really connect. At this point, you know, acting, it gets to be redefined. You know, there's not a human body there. You're not even looking at the person. You're listening, you're feeling. It's audio, and it's video, but it's like a sense-it acting that you have to have in order to plug in this technical place, you know. So you have to have a virtual person. It's awesome though, you know. We're learning as we're doing.
And Florencia, you had never worked on this particular play before, right? You maybe had done a reading, as I recall, maybe. But how was that jumping in? Because you're starting fresh, right? You're starting from scratch. And so you're not memorized, but now you're dealing with a camera, and you're dealing with a language, and you're dealing with relationships. What was something that you learned from this experience?
Well, wow. Let me go off of something Daphne just said in terms of big picture, this last year. And what we're trying to do now as theater artists, right? In telling stories. How do we do that now? What I take away from this past year and from this experience is the desire is the most important thing. The desire to connect. And that is like probably one of the most human things about humans. Is that need, no matter what, you know. I mean, to me, it's really beautiful that theater people, being who we are, like, we're used to adversity, and we will try it. We will try it. You know, I mean, we do theater, like we do live storytelling. Like that's what we do. You know what I mean? And well, I guess not. You know what I mean? And in some ways, it was kind of great because, you know, I mean, in New York and stuff, there are all these rumblings about, like, you know, theater is blah blah blah. Theater, you know, because Manhattan had gotten very expensive, and all of these things had happened, right? And then careful what you ask for, right? Because everything changed for better and for worse. And there were a lot of silver linings. I mean, that's what I think those of us who need to tell stories, we grab on to what we got. And what we got is each other in this medium. given the hellscape of technology, which was hilarious to have to battle through. But to do it with these people, like the accidents were my favorite parts. And they're the parts I will never forget. The parts where like literally Daphne could not hear us. We were doing, we could not hear our words. And
I was just interjecting my line back, I was hearing the lines backwards, like dead up people. I was hearing the answer before the response. And that was a rehearsal. I mean, but we just trudged.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes accidents and those things that are taken away from us, they're gifts, right? Because suddenly we're like, oh, suddenly I'm in Cuba and I've got nada. You know what I mean? Like, and we're in a situation where she can't hear us. She's supposed to be drunk anyway, though. So it's kind of perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better rehearsal accident.
That's right. I almost
play. So I'm choosing to just be grateful for all the lessons and look forward to like when we're in a room again together, what's that going to be like? We won't take it for granted in some ways. I'm hoping.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's like a growing pain. If we look at the big picture, like you said, it's it's part of the process of like discovering. I love the butterfly image of if you try to help that creature come out, like part of the vibrancy of the color of that butterfly depends on how the struggle to get out creates that color blue, and if we help. So, and Nilo, we all had good intentions to power through with the word because the word is the deed, but it ended up just being like, hello, can you hear me? Let's communicate. Let's just communicate.
Gabriel, I would love to hear from you because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching too that are in the beginnings of their career, and you are currently a student, correct?
I'm a student at Columbia University. I'm getting my master's in theater management and producing right now, and we've been exploring this kind of virtual space over the last few months. What does a virtual space look like? It's interesting being a stage manager without an actual stage to manage. It's like Shakespeare. All the world is a stage, and now all the world is our stage. Some of us are in California, some of us are in New York, some of us are in Miami. But what I really like seeing as a person that's just now starting in this industry, starting to get into the New York scene, is it's constantly changing, and each one of these actors have really adapted to it. And I think that's one of the key elements is if you don't adapt, then you tend to get left behind. And the way that these actors set up their technology, really put their foot to the ground and were able to get through it was extremely admirable. And it shows that change is happening constantly. And the theater world, the theater space doesn't look the same as it did 10 years ago. And it won't look the same 10 years from now. So this was really great practice, I think, for all of us in terms of changing with the times and seeing what's to come.
I kind of equivocated with when we're in the rehearsal room, when we're actually doing a play together, and then you move into the theater for the first time. There's that kind of a jolt that happens because everything spatially kind of changes. And that's when you have to trust that the work that you've done, that the relationships, that the holding on to what the beauty of the language was and is in the play, that it's internalized, and so that you'll be able to adapt. And this is another way and another kind of like jumping into the deep end big time in terms of technology. When you guys did Jericho, you had done the play before, and there was relationships so it was like although a lot of time had passed, and that
Right.
has something
And
to
some of them are different, but yet you're right, though. You're right. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I wanted to ask you guys, I mean, did it feel like we felt it was a more intimate experience in a weird way? Because it was just you looking into the, into the thing. It was, the whole medium lends itself to, I think, an intimacy that the other mediums don't in a weird way. I don't know if you found that to be true. I also just language in a way that a lot of other things don't too.
Right. Well, what I was going to say is that we also do have, although Daph was involved in an iteration of the play. Gary was. Flo had done readings of the play, so we're familiar with Nilo's parlance and
lexicon.
And I think that since we've kind of all worked together at some point in our trajectories.
Yeah, we have.
That the whole breaking the ice thing wasn't so much of an issue.
Yeah.
And that with the whole thing about being clustered in these pandemics made us all, I think, much more emotionally available to each other in a weird way.
Interesting.
But the fact that we've known each other, we've been, at the tables with each other. So there was a trust there.
Right.
I think that helped a lot. That I don't know if I would have been able to do with, 4 other actors that I had never worked with before.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Same.
Totally.
There's also that yearning too, right? I mean, like you're like, thank God we can act, and thank God I'm seeing my old friends, right? And Nilo's point of view, thank God I hear actors saying my lines again, and it feels like you're coming out of a deep sleep, as an artist like that.
Well, the isolation, in a way, creates the vacuum, so that we come running, especially when we're fam. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we really know each other. That is an element that is priceless, because it's priceless. I mean, you can't replicate that. You come into a space with chemistry is a thing. It can make or break things. And so when you have a group of actors that feel really, really comfortable together and that have history, I just have to say that made the work so much more enjoyable.
Well, I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do. We have to kind of replicate that, even when it's not there. But it's an added thing. It's a beautiful thing that we can put that one. The break the ice thing. We got that. Let's concentrate on the words here.
Yeah, there's like a marination that happens when you're a new cast. You need to marinate. And, sometimes we don't have the luxury of time. And so when we have that, then, the relationships like Gabriel, Hema, it's like, it's instant. It's like, yeah.
And on top of that, you're a one-person crew. Right?
Yeah, we're doing things we were informed and warned never to touch. Now we're picking up, moving around, twirling, unwinding.
Adriana, we would have been lost without you.
Yes.
Adriana did all of the technical aspects. She really guided us
Adriana.
One of the questions in the chat is, where did those beautiful background images come from?
They came from Vanessa, the person who was in charge of videos. We used some of these images in a production that we did here in Miami. Last year, we did a production in Spanish of Two Sisters and a Piano. It's actually Gabriel worked on that production as well, and so we recycled some of them for the play, and then we found some new ones as well.
And then, go ahead, Flor.
I wanted to say, when you guys were talking about earlier, there were so many themes. Well, to get to work on this play, to get to work on something that had this depth and complexity, as Daphne says, it's like we come running for that because, you know, as theater artists, we also do other mediums, right? And we also do other kinds of work as actors that demands different things of us. And what this play demands, well, it's a play, first of all. And not to put play above any other kind of writing, but it's a certain, I mean, it's language. And as actors, to get to wrestle with the kind of language he's giving us, that is such a gift. That is a rare one. To talk about the layers, like the fact that we're talking about this political backdrop, which suddenly seems so timely, because what we're talking about in terms of being isolated and communicating with people who aren't there, that's the themes of this play. You know, she's writing letters to this man she might never see again, who she, you know, in this time where people are dying without ever being able to say goodbye. I mean, these are the stakes that actually we're living through. And so to get to work in a play that has those same stakes, that's a gift.
Mm-hmm. And when you're on stage, this is another question that came up. When you're on stage, you're so used to the audience being another character, right? You have that energy. It's live. How was that different? How, you know, now you're doing it virtually, and now you don't have that live audience. How did you adjust?
Well,
Jimmy.
it really does. Okay.
No, go, Daph.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm
Daphne,
always jumping in. I'm sorry.
No,
So,
Daphne, go ahead.
It does kind of feel like dancing, like throwing the volley and not expecting a response, an immediate response. There is that lack, that vacuum. I'm not gonna lie, but for me, this is just for me. I think that perception is everything. It's like I have to adjust my partner and my my focus to the person on my eye line, and if I can't see them, really it's what I hear. So creating the world through the language and what I hear, it becomes more important than what I see, touch, smell, feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different gear shift because, of course, there's an energy that you have with an audience that's, irreplaceable. You feed off of that, but the givens are you're telling a story, you're storytelling, right? And here you have this other element, which is similar but very different than what we do on a soundstage and in television or doing a film, because you do have the other person there. And there might be physical cameras and lights and all that other stuff, but there is another person, you would hope, most of the time, on the other side of the lens. And you're interacting in a spatial relationship. So that's something that's taken away here. And you are dependent a lot in terms of what Daphne was saying about audio and what you're feeling. But I think that the play, because the play deals with loneliness and being closed in, that we were able to, that magic if that we have to do as actors and transfer what we've been going through for the last year and use it, so that yes, we're looking at this little light, but and somewhere on the screens we have that image there that we can hear and feel. It's a different, but it's a gear shift. Basically, we're still telling stories. We're telling Nilo's story right now.
And talking about story, there is a question about the plot. Not the plot, but specifically about the lieutenant's objective or motive. The question is, did the lieutenant on purpose want to trap the sisters into doing something wrong so that they would go to prison or not?
Nilo.
And did
No,
that
no, no.
change because he falls in love?
No, but they had already.
Nilo.
No, they had already. No. I think that they had already. No, I don't think they had already been in prison. They Maria Celia says it at the beginning in her first monologue. We've been allowed to come to be home, and this is a much bigger space than the cell that we were in. There were two years they were in prison. And yet, yes, there is an element of which I play with in the play, the ambiguity. Is he here to interrogate them? Is he here for another purpose? Because he finds these two women to be intriguing, and he's interested. He's started to read the Maria Celia's literature, and he's become obsessed with it. So he takes on the case. So there's an ambiguity, and I'm very interested in that ambiguity. Is what is he there for? Is he really there to interrogate, or is he really there for his own purpose or his own need as someone who has falling in love with her writing and with her as a person?
We had conversation in the limited time that we had to do for our rehearsals. That conversation came up because on the performance side, it's very hard to play ambiguity. It's a quality that the audience perceives. So, I mean, we were able to at least do runs where it was more pronounced between Maria Celia and the lieutenant about trying to catch each other. And where that kind of so just so that we can feel it, so that we could feel it, and then play more the kind of attraction to the women, the situation, the fact that she writes letters, and the whole thing about art that this guy doesn't come from, and then make choices about which you can keep for yourself. So, and those choices then are perceived by the audience as being a kind of ambiguity.
Daphne, there's Cheryl who's watching on YouTube.
Hi, Cheryl.
And she saw two sisters at the public, as I did, and I was just like, fell in love with you. So she wants to know, how did you approach Sophia and dive into this character in this production versus when you did it at the public? Was there anything that you learned from Sophia this time around?
It was beautiful to come back and just be reminded of this character's sensitivity and like real power and vulnerability. I just love characters that are strong, that really have a personal integrity. I think that and she's an artist who really wants to tell the truth and advocate for the truth, and what happens when a soul doesn't get to do that? What happens when a soul doesn't get to express themselves? It was really important for me and a great experience to go back and explore what that was in this context. Because in '98, it was like Eliane, and I was writing music, and I was so excited to be on the stage doing this play with Nilo, and it was a different set of goals.
Florencia, you have so many beautiful monologues. Are there any favorite moments that you have in the play or favorite lines?
Oh gosh. Wow. Well, again, going off of what Daphne said, when you asked her about what it was like for her to play this, I thought she was going to talk about me. Um, no,
My
she didn't care about me, but I care about her. No, so I love acting with these people. I did. The monologues were wild because they're letters that she's composing, right? And I loved thinking about this man who was this man, right? From my past, from my future, hopefully. But I really loved being the older sister. I'm a younger sister. And it was weird watching myself be my older sister. I mean, my mom is on this now, and maybe she'll disagree with me, but I feel like I've been studying older sisters, and it was so beautiful to see a younger sister. Like I don't know, just that relationship is very close to my heart, and getting to play with Daphne was it was a joy.
It was fabulous.
It was fucking amazing.
We love each other forever. Yeah.
And getting to be seduce Jimmy, like that was a real pleasure. Like, because I'm alone here, okay?
Not every day.
I mean, I do have, I no, but it was fun to get to play. Like that's what we get to do as actors. It's not. There's no what's the word when you have a consequence. We can actually go for it imaginatively, and it was a very special thing to get to be Daphne's sister and be in love with Jimmy and flirt and like the whole role was just it was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah.
We can finally communicate. when the internet worked, it was awesome.
Gabriel, so you worked on this production in Miami, correct?
Yes.
And it was in Spanish, right? It was in Spanish. How can you talk a little bit about how working on it in different languages was for you?
Sure. So I did this with Hema and also with Nilo in November of 2019, I believe. And it was we performed it here at the Miami-Dade County Auditorium, and then again at the Colony Theater, which is a fabulous theater. I think that the show sounds starkly different in English and in Spanish. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that one is better than the other. To me, they sound very different, but they both have that flavor. And when it was performed here in Spanish, a majority of the audience was Cuban, but also Venezuelan. And here in Miami, where we have such a different culture, such different groups and different cultures coming from different countries, it's incredible how everybody's able to relate to this kind of overall theme. It's not specifically just a Cuban show. It has themes that really spread across multiple cultures, multiple languages even, and everybody was able to relate to it. So it was interesting hearing the translations in English. Nilo, did you first write this? You first wrote this in English, right?
In English, yes, yeah.
So it was interesting seeing the translation into Spanish to see that side of it. I think they were different, but they were both beautiful works and very, very poetic. And only a master like Nilo can really dominate both of these languages and write poetry in both of these languages. Very few people have that mastery over both English and Spanish, and he is the king of that.
Can I have to interrupt. I'm just going to step out to get a charger. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of battery. So please forgive me for stepping out for a second. Sorry.
Like the technical issues we were talking about, right?
I
This
know.
is a great example.
I know we have about 15 minutes left for our Q&A. So it's going by pretty fast. We keep on talking a lot about the technical elements, and for everyone that's watching, what does that mean? And I see a lot of people in the comments talking about Zoom. For this particular production, we actually used a different platform. We used StreamYard. We were able to play around a little bit more with the box configurations. And then Nilo, during the post process, he was able to manipulate the different images and incorporate them. And how did we incorporate them? Well, all the actors had they had a screen behind them. And so they had to be lit very well. And so that's a lot of the technical elements that everyone's talking about. That was just a lot, to add on top of working on the play and working on your characters. Is Daphne back? Oh, I was hoping that Gary would pop in, but he isn't in yet. But I did wanna say that those scenes between Gary and Daphne were so beautiful.
The piano tuning scene is like just a morsel. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene. You both guys, you did a great job. Great job.
Yeah, it was really, really great. So I'm gonna look and see if there's any more any more questions in the chat. And then there is one that I missed over. I know. Go ahead, Daphne. This is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to this is how we were in rehearsal. This is exactly.
Are you hardwired or Wi-Fi?
Are you exactly? Oh, she's back. You're back. You're unfrozen. Yes,
I'm back. I'm totally. Oh, I was. Frozen. Oh my god.
She's fine. She's probably just playing with us at this point. You know?
I know. So, Daphne, were you gonna say something?
Oh my goodness. I'm back. Everybody. Am I really back though?
No.
I mean, honestly, do you really want me to tell you the truth?
No, I said I'm back, I think.
Now you're back. Now you're back. Now you're back. Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm back. Woo!
So were you going to say something about the scene?
We were trying.
You froze again, babe.
I'm telling you, this is exact. Oh, okay. So we
There she is.
There she's back. Well, while we wait for Daphne, Jack, do you want to give us a little bit of scoop on what's coming next for New Normal Rep?
What's coming next is we're going to dedicate a week to Daphne's answer to the previous question. That'll be patrons only, and that'll be at no fee. It's just we're givers. Now, after everyone spreads the word and Two Sisters and a Piano ends its run in the NMA, we're going to have in July a play by a great young African-American playwright named Nicole Salter called Lines in the Dust. It's a terrific drama, and we couldn't be more excited about presenting it. And then fourth and final production of our first season will be a play by a wonderful new playwright. She's just graduated from NYU Playwriting School named Julia Blauvelt, and it's an hilarious drama. And I was saying beforehand, the 4 plays in the season, radically different, but they all, in a weird way, share a common theme. And I would say that it boils down to it's about different communities and different environments and people coping and needing each other. And I was saying earlier before we went on that was absolutely not our intention. It just was random. But it was, I think, maybe unconsciously what we all needed to hear and see. And in the there'll be a brief interlude between the end of Two Sisters and the start of Wine to the Dust, and we're going to bring Jericho back for a couple of weeks because it got very nice reception, and people, not everyone who wanted to get to see it got to see it. So we're going to bring that back for a couple of weeks, and we'll have a few other little goodies and treats in there for you as well.
Great.
That's awesome, Jack. Daphne, you're back. Did you want to say anything?
I'm afraid to move.
No.
I'm afraid to what did I want to say? I want to say that I love when Nilo's words come out of my mouth, and they really lend themselves to expressing just, the most beautiful and sort of raw. Can you hear me? Aspects of humanity.
Yeah, Nilo, someone else brought up Ann on the tropics in the
Did you
chat,
hear anything
so
I said?
It's just evidence that your plays really impact people. It's impacted me too. Marela has been one of the highlight roles that I played in my career. It's just, saying your words is just beautiful. So Nilo, thank you for the opportunity to having me on this team. Thank you for everybody. This was a wonderful experience. We're all learning and growing. We're not, we all don't have the answers, and we were all willing to fail and just kind of like walk through the fire together. So that was really wonderful. And so now I think that we are ready to toast, right? So
Yes.
we can get our glasses. This has been a really hard year and a half, and a hard week too. We know everyone watching. We know that this was a very pivotal moment in history, and I just feel very grateful to have all of you here and sharing this space with you. It's been really wonderful. If anyone else want to say a couple words.
I just want to thank you on behalf of the whole company, this wonderful team, doing this beautiful play, and we feel very privileged to help allow people to see this incarnation of it, and we just couldn't be happier and prouder of it. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Nilo, Jack, keep telling stories.
Thank you.
Yes.
We will.
We'll keep
Salud.
trying to vocalize them.
Yes.
Salud. Thank you, guys.
Salud.
Cheers.
Salud.
Woo!
Happy opening, everyone. Happy opening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. This is a wrap, and we'll see you soon. Have a very safe night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.